Imagine walking down a city sidewalk, checking a text, when suddenly a scooter, it just mounts the curb behind you and wipes out your life savings in seconds.
And it's happening. Right now in major cities all across the country, we're calling it the sidewalk surprise.
Right.
And look, I am not talking about losing a couple $100 because you dropped your wallet. This is a sophisticated, highly organized attack that drains your bank account before you can even process what happened.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are looking at a stack of reports that honestly are going to make your blood boil. We're talking about a crime wave that is part technology, part open borders, and part completely broken legal system.
It really is the perfect storm. You've got this new type of criminal enterprise that operates like a gig economy business.
A gig economy for crime.
Exactly. Then you have a violent foreign gang, Tren de Aragua, that has set up shop right here in New York. And on top of that, you have a bail system that seems designed to put these guys back on the street faster than the police can even file the paperwork.
So that's what we're going to unpack. The snatch and grab economy, the gang that's running it, and the catch and release laws that are letting it all happen. Because we have news of a major sentencing, this guy Victor Pera, a ringleader of a massive scooter crew. But we also have these terrifying stories of attacks on federal agents and even a prosecutor in her own home.
And that's the core tension here. You have a highly sophisticated criminal ring colliding with a legal system that has effectively tied the hands of judges and police. It is just a recipe for chaos.
Okay, so let's start with the crime itself. Because when people hear phone snatching, I think they imagine some kid grabbing an iPhone to sell it for parts. But these sources are saying this is way, way bigger than that.
Oh, much bigger. The hardware is it's barely the point. In the old days, yeah, you stole a phone to sell the phone.
Right.
But Apple and Google, they got smart. They made it so you can brick a stolen phone. It just becomes a paperweight.
Okay, so why are they still stealing them then, if they're useless?
Because they don't want the phone. They want your digital wallet. They want the access.
The keys to the kingdom.
Exactly. The reports we're looking at show a very specific pattern. They target people, often women walking alone, who are actively using their phones.
Why that specifically?
They want the screen unlocked.
Because if they snatch it while it's unlocked.
They're in. They don't need your Face ID. They don't need your passcode if the phone is already open. They can go straight into your financial apps.
Apple Pay, Zelle, Venmo.
Main banking app, all of it.
And they just drain it.
Immediately. We're talking about victims losing thousands of dollars in like a matter of minutes. The thieves transfer the money out before the victim can even find a cop or, borrow a phone to call their bank.
That is absolutely terrifying. It's financial ruin in the blink of an eye. And you said this isn't random. This is organized.
Oh, highly organized. The structure is. It's fascinating in a really dark way. It runs almost exactly like a food delivery app.
You're kidding me. Like Uber Eats for crime.
Pretty much. The ringleaders use WhatsApp. They act as dispatchers. They send out orders to their crews. They'll literally message them and say, go out, I have orders to fill.
So who are these people on the scooters?
They work in pairs. You have the driver, he's the pilot. He gets paid a flat rate, usually around $100 a day. His only job is to drive the scooter and get away fast.
And the passenger.
That's a snatcher.
Oh.
He's on commission. He might make, say, $300 to $600 per phone he steals. But here's the kicker, the incentive structure.
Yeah.
He gets paid extra if he brings the phone back unlocked.
So they are financially motivated to be aggressive, to make sure they get it while you're literally in the middle of a text.
That's exactly it. That's why they mount the sidewalks. That's why they blindside people. The reports describe victims being dragged across the pavement because they wouldn't let go.
Oh my God.
These guys need that phone open to get their bonus.
Okay, and then what? They ride off with the phone. Where does it go?
They take them to a stash house. This is usually an apartment and we're seeing this more and more, a room in a migrant shelter.
A shelter?
Yes. And waiting there is a tech guy, a specialist. This isn't just some thug. This is someone who knows how to hack into these things. Their job is to break into the banking apps, drain the funds, and launder the money before anyone can stop them.
So it's a business. It has employees, managers, specialists.
And a headquarters.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the who. Because this isn't just a bunch of random guys who met on the street. This is Tren de Aragua.
I keep hearing that name. Tren de Aragua. What does that mean? It sounds like a train line.
It translates to the Aragua train. It's a prison gang from Venezuela. They started in the Tocaron prison down there, and they have expanded all over the hemisphere, and now they have a major foothold right here in New York City.
And when you say foothold, where are they operating from?
The police intelligence is very specific on this. They are using migrant shelters as their bases of operation.
Which ones?
The sources explicitly mention the Row NYC Hotel and the Crown Plaza near JFK Airport.
Wait, hold on a second. These are the hotels that are being paid for by taxpayers to house migrants.
Correct. These are government-funded shelters. And according to these reports, they are being used as logistics hubs for a transnational criminal gang.
So let me get this straight. We are paying for their room and board, and they are using those rooms to coordinate hacking our phones and draining our bank accounts.
That is the reality on the ground. It provides them with perfect cover. It's a perfect hideout because there are so many people coming and going, there's no real oversight.
Let's talk about this guy, Victor Pera. He was one of the leaders, wasn't he?
Victor Pera, yeah. He's a Venezuelan migrant. He was the head honcho for one of these big rings. He was the guy on WhatsApp sending out the orders.
What kind of damage did his crew do?
It was massive. Just to give you one example from the court files, his crew hit a victim one night. Within hours, Pera himself is making transactions on the victim's Apple Card. He spent over $1,700 in one shot, then another $1,600, just buying up luxury goods to resell.
Just cleaning them out completely.
Completely. And he was finally sentenced to prison recently, but that was only after his ring had snatched dozens, maybe hundreds of phones and terrorized the city for months. And he's just one guy.
And the violence, it's escalating. It's not just snatching anymore. I read about that incident with the Border Patrol agent. That was shocking.
This happened in a park. You have two illegal immigrants from the Dominican Republic, Nunez and A. Barbaroa. They roll up on a motorbike to rob a couple.
And the man they happened to target was an off-duty federal agent.
Right, but he wasn't in uniform or anything. He was just a guy in a park with his family.
Boy.
When he tried to intervene, they shot him.
They shot him.
In the face.
My guy.
Miraculously, he survived, but it just shows you the mindset. These are not kids making a mistake. These are armed, dangerous criminals who are willing to kill for a wallet.
And then there's the story about the prosecutor. This one really hits home for me because it shows that, literally no one is safe.
This is a Manhattan prosecutor, a woman who spends her day putting bad guys away. She's entering her own apartment building at 2 in the morning.
And she was followed.
By a guy named Brandon Somoza. He's a 25-year-old migrant with suspected ties to Tren de Aragua. He forces his way into the building right behind her.
That's every person's absolute worst nightmare.
He demands her cash. He steals her credit cards, her phone. And then, just to show total dominance, he performs a lewd act right there in the hallway.
That is just sick.
It's terror. It's about power. And guess where the police found him later?
Let me guess. One of the shelters.
Hanging around the Row NYC migrant shelter.
So he attacks a prosecutor, an officer of the court, robs her, humiliates her, and then just goes back to the taxpayer-funded shelter.
It raises a huge question. If a prosecutor isn't safe inside her own building, who is?
That is the question. And that leads us to the biggest problem of all. Why are these guys on the street? Why aren't they locked up? Because it feels like the cops arrest them, and they're back on a scooter the next day.
And this is where we have to talk about the revolving door. Look, the police are doing their job. They're making the arrests. The NYPD seized over 2,500 illegal mopeds last year alone.
Wow.
That's a 74% increase. They are trying.
So where's the breakdown?
It's the courts. And specifically, it's the bail reform laws in New York.
I hear about bail reform all the time. But what does it actually mean in practice?
It means that judges have had their discretion completely taken away. In 49 other states and in the federal system, a judge can look at a suspect and ask a simple question. Is this person dangerous?
Right. Is this guy going to hurt someone if I let him go?
Exactly. And if the answer is yes, they can set a high bail or just keep them in jail. But in New York, they are legally prohibited from doing that.
Prohibited. By law.
By law. The only thing a New York judge is allowed to consider is risk of flight.
That's it.
That is it. Will this person come back to court? They cannot consider danger to the community.
So you can have a known gang member who is clearly violent standing in front of a judge.
Yeah.
And the judge basically has to say, well, he promised to come back for his court date, so I have to let him go.
Often with zero bail, it's just release on recognizance. And the gangs, they know this. They know the system better than we do.
There was that raid in Queens that just sums this all up perfectly. The V&R Auto Shop.
This is the ultimate example of a loophole. Police raid this shop. They believe it's a front for Tren de Aragua. They find drugs. They find a Glock pistol. They find imitation weapons.
Sounds like a slam dunk case. You got the guns, you got the drugs.
You would think so? They arrested 3 men. But get this, the owner, who had the gun charge. The gun was unloaded and the ammo wasn't stored right next to it. So under New York law, that made the charge non-bail eligible.
Wait, because the gun was unloaded, he gets to walk.
Correct. The district attorney's office literally said their hands were tied. It wasn't a violent felony under this specific definition of the bail law because the gun wasn't loaded.
An unloaded gun is still a gun. You can still stick it in someone's face and rob them blind.
But the law doesn't see it that way. And the other 2 guys, the suspected gang members, they had the imitation pistols. That's a misdemeanor. Also not bail eligible.
So all 3 of them just walked?
They walked free, no bail. And the prosecutors even said the charges against the 2 gang members could be dismissed entirely in 6 months if they, quote, stay out of trouble.
That's called an ACD, right? An adjournment.
Adjournment in contemplation of dismissal. Basically, be good for 6 months and we pretend this never happened.
But these are suspected members of a violent international gang. They're not going to be good. They are going to go right back to work.
Of course they are. And we have data that proves it. This isn't just us, guessing. There was a major study from John Jay College that looked at the numbers.
What did they find?
Well, supporters of these laws, they try to spin it. But if you look at the high-risk individuals, people with a criminal history recidivism actually went up under these new laws.
And recidivism means reoffending.
Yeah.
Committing more crimes.
Right. For felony defendants who already had a prior conviction, nearly 1/3 of them were arrested again while their original case was still pending.
What are 3?
But look at the specific crimes. For commercial burglary, the rearrest rate for people with priors hit 70%.
70%. So 7 out of 10 times, you let a known burglar go, and he goes right back to burgling.
And for petty larceny theft, it hit 79%.
That's almost 80%. It means the law is a complete joke to them. There's zero deterrent.
That's the conservative takeaway from the study, and honestly, it's the common sense takeaway. These laws might work for a first-time offender who made one stupid mistake, but for career criminals, for organized gang members, it is open season.
And this brings us right back to the migrant issue, because a lot of these guys, they don't have a record here in the U.S.
That's the enormous blind spot. A guy comes across the border. He might be a hardcore killer for Tren de Aragua in Venezuela. He might have a rap sheet a mile long down there.
But our system has no idea.
We have no idea. So when he stands before a judge in Queens, he looks like a first-time offender. He has no U.S. criminal record. So the judge, following the letter of the law, has to treat him with kid gloves. He gets released.
When in reality, he could be a soldier in a criminal army.
Exactly. So we are importing criminals, giving them a base of operations in taxpayer-funded shelters, and then using a broken legal system to make sure they stay on the street to commit more crimes.
It's insanity. We are literally funding our own destruction.
And remember, every single time they drain a bank account, that money is going back to the gang. It funds more weapons. It funds more human trafficking. It funds more drugs.
Yeah.
We are capitalizing their entire operation.
So what does this all mean for the listener? I mean, other than being completely terrified?
It means you have to be smart. On a practical level, keep your head on a swivel. If you hear a scooter coming up behind you, look up. Don't walk around with your face buried in your phone.
And lock your phone. All the time.
Absolutely. Use a strong passcode. Don't leave your banking apps logged in. You have to treat that phone like it's a stack of $100 bills because that's exactly how the gangs see it.
But on a bigger level, what's the takeaway?
On a bigger level, we have to look at who we are voting for and what kind of laws they're passing. When you have a system that prioritizes the so-called rights of a violent gang member over the actual safety of a prosecutor or a border agent, that system is broken.
We need judges who can actually use their judgment and say no.
We need to restore judicial discretion. We need to be able to say, this person is dangerous and they are not walking out that door. It's that simple.
It seems so simple.
It used to be.
I just want to leave everyone with that image of the prosecutor. She represents the law. She knows the system inside and out. And even she wasn't safe in her own home.
If the system can't protect its own enforcers, it certainly can't protect you.
That is a very sobering thought. But it's the reality we're living in. Stay safe out there, watch your surroundings, and maybe think about who's writing the laws in your city. That's it for this Deep Talk. We'll see you next time.